Peace, family. Your boy Red Rod Love, bringing another informative video. Here to pick up where I left off as far as the how to decalcify the pineal gland. This video in particular is going to talk about the pineal gland itself, and I'm really going to go in depth on the pineal gland so that you guys who don't completely fully understand exactly what it is, but you're gonna get some great understanding after today. As you can see, this picture in the background will, kind of make more sense as time goes on, as I express the significance behind the brain and the pineal gland and the usage of each function within the brain in your body. But mainly right now, we're going to talk about the pineal gland. So we understand that the brain has masculine and feminine principles, correct? We understand that those masculine principles reside on the left hemisphere of the brain and the feminine principles reside on the right hemisphere of the brain, right? We understand these things. Now, that hemisphere that divides the two lines are the corpus callosum. We call that the corpus callosum. It's what separates the left and right hemisphere, but understand that each hemisphere functions on its own. It has different functions. You understand? The left brain, or the left side, dealing more with analytics, thought processes, logic, language, reasoning, science and math, writing, numbers and skills, and right hand control. The left dealing with art, creativity, imagination, intuition, insight, holistic thoughts or health, music awareness, 3D forms, and left hand control. Both happen to be equal in size. So if you cut it down the middle, the corpus callosum down the middle, you would get a equal side of both hemispheres. Now, when you look at the hemisphere, you would then see what we like to call excuse me, I'm not even going to go that deep, but you would find the eye of Horus, and the eye of Horus, or what we would like to call the limbic system, which, let me give you this right, the limbic system, which is a group of structures linked to the process of emotions, memories, and so forth, right? So our limbic system, which creates the shape of the pineal gland, which is, it sits on top of the pineal gland. When you cut the brain in half, it creates the shape of the eye of Horus, what we call the limbic system. And the ancients knew very much so about the limbic system and its significance connected to the pituitary gland and the pineal gland and so forth, also connected to your nervous system, or the vagus nervous system, which then allows for everything else to function in your body, as far as your hearing, your sense of taste, your everything. So we have that. We are now at a point in time where we can measure thoughts with hertz, right? So this is going to make sense in a second. The brain functions below 6.66 hertz. And that is clinically depressed, for those who don't know. 6.66 hertz. It's funny how 6.666 is the standard for depression. So the regimen is to keep you vibrating lower than 666. You understand? Anything lower than 666, that you're winning. They win it. So 7 hertz is considered normal. And anything above 11 is anxious, overly anxious, so out of balance. You understand? So keeping a balance within your hertz from 7 to 11 is the best thing to do here. Obviously, as far as hertz go, megahertz and so forth, and this, that, and third. Your brain is a receiver. Your soul's energy, the energy of the universe, the all. So if our signals are scrambled, right? Think about it like a radio. For those of us who want to think that we are not connected to the source, well, I'm going to disprove you now. A radio transmits frequencies. Those frequencies are measured in hertz. It comes from a source. That source is trying to, the frequency is trying to connect to a receiver. That receiver, which could be your radio or cell phone or some sort of that nature, but we're going to just use radio for lack of better terms, is tuned into, I don't know, V103, 107.9, where, let's just hypothetically speak and say that you're receiving answers from your higher self. You're on your highest thought form on V103 or the frequency of 107.9 or whatever. Now, if you destroyed the radio right now, would the signal no longer exist? Would the signal no longer exist? The signal would still exist. It would just then need a receiver for it to exist in real time. You understand? So what's happening now is our pineal gland, which is the seat to the soul, which is our spiritual antenna to divinity, which keeps us connected to the all, which keeps us in balance, which the ancients knew about, the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Kemetic, ancient Nubians, from ancient Kemet. These teachings were something that we overstood very much so back in ancient civilization, ancient times. You understand? And we understood certain things about the brain, like the amygdala, the corpus callosum, the thalamus, the pons, the medulla, the cerebellum, the hypothalamus, the many different functions of the hippocampus to understand the functionality of the brain. Hence the fact we restored so many body parts because of its significance, to find out more of its, true nature. I will definitely do another video explaining the different functions of the brain and so forth, but that's not what this video is entitled for. So I'm gonna stay on task right now and focus on the pineal gland and its significance, truly in its significance, because it's amazing what this little pea-sized weighs less than 0.1 grams. So this thing here is quite significant in its ability to do what it does. So acknowledged by the Egyptians, believed to be the seat of the soul, it regulates endocrine functions. It secretes serotonin, melatonin, and dimethyltryptamine, DMT. Okay, serotonin is the chemical that causes you to feel happiness, excitement, and I'm not sure what the other one is, but anyways, excitement and joy. Joy. These are the things that keep you feeling great and wonderful, right? Or melatonin, or excuse me, so sorry, melatonin, right? Or excuse me, serotonin, excuse me. And melatonin causes you to experience calmness, serenity, and peace, right? So we got this. Let's understand we got this. Serotonin is the chemical that causes you to feel happiness, excitement, joy, positive emotions along the lines of those natures. Melatonin causes you to experience calmness, serenity, peace. You feel me? Okay. Dimethyltryptamine, DMT, is it's your natural psychedelic. It's like your psychedelic trip, your natural psychedelic trip, okay? And is the body's natural occurring psychedelic drug. Due to this production of chemicals, your pineal gland is the source of your imagination, creation, and sedation. Okay? So DMT secreted at high levels can take you into higher levels of consciousness in the dream state, unfolding truths behind the mysteries of life and death, life and death, or during birth. So activating DMT allows us to go into the spiritual world and bring back information or astral travel into points in time that might not be completely understood. You know, without DMT, we won't have the functionality or capability of being able to do such a thing. So if you're in a state where you're no longer dreaming or you're no longer activating the psychedelics within yourself naturally, and you're using some type of synthetic form, like a drug of some sort, to take you into that state, you might have problems down the road. Truly, you're going to have problems down the road, and you probably are suffering from some of these things that I could, provide the antidote and remedy for here on The Adventure of the Loser. So, or on my channel right now, which is Red 8. So, anyways, according to the ancient Egyptians, the pineal gland was the connection between the soul and the afterlife. Shamans drink DMT drinks to help release to help realign the body with the afterlife. Indians, they take peyote and stuff like that, and this, that, and the third. DMT you can find in practically almost any flower, or in plants, or in nature. It's in your flowers. It's right there. You go out and grab it. It's right there. But it's about getting to a point where you can secrete it yourself. Okay? And you naturally use what is natural, because if you don't use it, you lose it. That is what happens here. So it's important that we use what was naturally given to us, right? Okay, your eyes, visions are reflections, your eyes, visions are reflected through, around, or off the pineal gland via your optic nerves. This is how we know whether to stay awake or sleep due to the night and day. Okay, so we understand that serotonin, let's just go in. In the morning, your pineal gland secretes serotonin to start the day. We need organic sunlight to output serotonin, our happy chemical. Okay, we need that. It's important that we get that. So people who work at night are off balance, not going to sleep at proper times, not allowing that melanin to kick in, not allowing that serotonin to kick in properly, you're going to have some problems. Believe me, a man who worked the third shift for years, I'm a man that can speak, okay? So anyways, the eye of Horus, aka our limbic system, where most of our glandular activity starts. Our eye means the window to our soul, the pineal gland. Okay, so in other words, when you look in, it either bounces off, goes around, or goes through your pineal gland, which is your true eye. So the things that you perceive, if it's not going through the pineal gland, and if it's going around it, I can guarantee you're not perceiving reality the way you think you are. You are in an illusional state or base of mind. And it is for you to step into truth to understand what's going on or how your condition has led you to your dis-ease. Our eyes, okay, excuse me, moving on. Now, this is an interesting fact. It takes 49 days, according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, 49 days to reincarnate. Very, very interesting. The pineal gland forms within 49 days, as long as your sexual organs. That's an interesting fact. Don't believe me? Check it out. The pineal gland has tiny crystals, giving it magnetic resonance, making it piezoelectric, right? The same thing, or the same electricity that makes ceramic and things of that nature. DNA and crystals, right? Like the ones in your pineal gland, are powerful. It's how birds understand whether to fly south during winter. It's how the blind sees. They use their pineal gland via them being connected spiritually to the grid, which allows them to still navigate in such a way that we'll never begin to fathom through vibrations, signals that are being emitted off everywhere you turn. But anyways, the pineal gland is formed by around the 49th day, and so are your sexual organs, which I've just explained just a moment ago. Now, what stops the functioning of the pineal gland? I spoke about a little earlier in the first video, which are heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and aluminum. These are serious metals that cause serious function or malfunctionings within that particular gland in particular. The fluoride, which is a mineral, which is a metal, which is magnetically attracted to the pineal gland, and it doesn't help, not at all. It doesn't help. So bioaccumulation keeps you from expelling them. Bioaccumulation. So what happens when these metals come inside of your body? What happens is they get expelled off into different parts of your body, and then they harden up. When they harden up, they go nowhere. They stay stuck. And once you accumulated so much, the disease and many other things set in, and this is when your body starts spiraling out of control. Okay, so the calcium, man. Calcium is another bad thing. I explained in my other video. So I'm going to go in depth on why calcium is such a bad thing. Because calcium is a mineral. It's a mineral. And if it's a mineral, then it's a metal. Because all minerals are metals. Okay, so let's go in. The calcium without the necessary magnesium to flush it out binds toxins completely, as I explained in the video before. Calcium is a mineral, and all minerals are metals. Calcium, unlike other metals, are highly conductive, and excessive conductivity can produce excessive electrical energy, raising hertz, anxiety. So we don't want to start vibrating in hertz 11 or better, because then we start getting very anxious. And once we get anxious, the rhythm sometimes can be inconsistent. And when we start having inconsistencies within our motor or within our flow. Think about it like a car, a timing belt. If your timing belt starts skipping, you're going to have some serious motherfucking problems if you don't get that fixed. You possibly might lose, break a time, or bust a timing belt. You bust a timing belt, you're going to blow a rod, head gasket, and it just causes catastrophic destruction from there. So just think about it that way. Okay, calcium bicarbonate, calcium bicarbonate in fruits and veggies is what you want. That's the type of calcium that you want. The kind of calcium you get in fruits and veggies. But remember, we have to get a magnesium to balance out the calcium. And how do we get more magnesium? Well, magnesium is naturally in fertile soil, or soil that is full of good minerals and nutrients that naturally are already out there in the ground, that's not being modified to no degree to, increase the growth of the food. See, if your food or your soil is pure and in its pure state, non-tempered, you'll get the proper magnesium simply just within the dirt, within the soil, within the food, within the vegetables that you eat, just within your environment. But there are many other foods that you can eat as far as getting magnesium. But that was just, me giving you an understanding on that. Calcium carbonates, fluoride, nitrates, etc. These are not what you want. You don't want this kind of stuff. Now, I just explained this in layman's terms, but I'm going to go ahead and read it verbatim. Our soil being genetically modified does not have enough magnesium, the precious metals that can flush these toxins out. Magnesium we use to flush out toxins, okay? So it's mandatory that we have that magnesium when we absorb or bio accumulate different metals that need to be flushed, okay? They never get expelled. They just remain until you remove them. And in most cases, they harden. It attaches to your pineal gland and calcifies it. It doesn't produce the right amounts of melatonin, so you can stop without. Okay, excuse me. Okay, yeah, so I just explained this. I'm not going to go into what I just explained. Okay, cool. So your vagus nervous system